Welcome to Reformgelical, where the Reformed and Evangelicals meet, maybe, kind of, sorta. We didn't meet last week, and I just want to say I am very sorry for that, especially for those of you who support us on Patreon. The downside of using new technology and new platforms is when you get a lot of business really quick, the platform will usually break. And that's what happened. We got about, probably 10 or 15 seconds into our show, and then it just stopped working, which was fun, because we put hours and hours of preparation into this, and it gets really discouraging when we can't have our show. I'm just kidding. We don't put hours into it. And I do also, I don't even know if he's going to be listening to this anymore after we totally wasted his time, but I want to apologize to Pastor Tom Buck, who was going to be our guest. And I would have invited you on this week, but I'm just not sure how this is going to go. So maybe next week or whenever we figure it out, we'll reach out. But he was actually really gracious about it all, which I really appreciated. Man, what is there to talk about? There's been a lot of arrests happening lately in the church community. I've been seeing arrests. I've been seeing it on Planned Parenthoods, where you can go abort your child and not respect 6 feet, but you can't protest that abortion, even if you're 6 feet away, apparently. I can't help but think that there is a correlation between us just so easily letting the government tell us how to worship and this next stage almost of what we're seeing.
This is a crisis, and it's just a matter of safety. And so it's a kind of slow rolled out. And the reality is we're seeing just people just listen, I know that people are very scared, so I don't want to downplay the fear. But what I will say is this is minimal pressure on the church. There's a minimal crisis out there, and we just rolled over. So there's no reason for us to think that if they came in, with their combat boots and saying we just hate Christianity, you're going to have to stop. We have no reason to believe that we would actually stand up to that. None. When a little virus, and I do mean little, because when it's all said and done, this virus might be more deadly than the flu, but it's not going to be significantly more deadly than the flu. And most people are starting to come to terms with that. And so the reality is that this is like minimal pressure, and we've just caved. All of us have, and I'm not exempting myself from that either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. Like every single time it get revised down, it's like, how dare you question the numbers? Like, well, how many revisions have we had? When can we start questioning them? And can we question them after they got revised, or are you still not allowed to question them on that?
Right. And so the reality is, though, the numbers are just a sideshow at this point, because what could happen is they're in a so let's just put it very simply, and I'm not trying to make a martyr out of myself or you or anybody, but the reality is that me and you, our positions on this and others, we're in a no-win situation, and our opponents are in a no-lose situation, because all that has to happen is we could have half the deaths of a normal flu season, right? Half. And they would say, well, see, it all worked. See, it was all worth it. It was worth it because it worked. And there's no way for me to refute that. It's just like, how am I? It's like Obama's created or saved jobs. Like, you can't refute it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we lost it. What are you talking about? We lost 10 million jobs. Like, yeah, but it would have been 20. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's no way to refute it. So the people that have been proclaiming doom and gloom, now that it's been revised down by factors of order at this point, they're still grasping, like, this is the deadliest thing. We gotta be careful. There's no way to win with people like that. None. Mm-hmm. I saw a dude on my Facebook. I don't usually engage people on Facebook. I just don't do it. But I saw a guy going back and forth with someone on Facebook who said that, the CDC numbers on flu season, like, they say it's way worse. And he said, I don't trust the CDC numbers on flu season. And I said, he goes, wait. Let me get this straight. You don't trust the flu numbers, but you trust the COVID. No, absolutely. And here's why. And he had this whole thing that made sense to him, I'm sure. It's just like they'll anything at this point. They'll say anything. It doesn't matter.
It's funny from a data perspective is when you look at flu numbers, deaths, cases, outbreaks, they're always generalized. It's 90 to 120,000. But somehow in this brand new virus that's never been dealt with before, it's 3,431 deaths.
Listen. We've been studying the flu for decades at this point, but we can only round to the nearest 20, 30,000.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
But we know to the man who's died from COVID.
Right.
The novel coronavirus. We know. Exactly.
We haven't even tested like 3 million people, but we know the like exact number.
Not only that, but we also know exactly how many people had it in China and how many people died in China. Exactly. To the number.
Yeah. In fact, there's no more cases in China, I've heard.
None. Well, actually, they start. No, Matt. That's where you're wrong. They started getting them again because of Americans that travel to China. They brought it back, and now there's a few more cases. But they've nipped it in the bud again. Don't worry.
That's so insane. And I think you saw this. I think I saw you post about it. But they finally admitted that in the United States, anyone with coronavirus, if they were killed by it or not, they're just counting it as a coronavirus death. Which, from a data perspective, if I ever did that in business, I would get fired instantly.
Especially when the stakes are so high. Like it's not like I understand like data. You have to draw the line somewhere. You have to make determinations. I get that, right? But like it's not like we're talking like nickels and dimes here. It's not like we're saying, well, like I play like little miniatures war games, and like it's not an exact science. So like I can say, oh, I've got line of sight for you, but it's like you really don't. You're kind of fudging it. Like who cares? It's a game. But like. We're talking about whether or not the economy is open or closed. The entire American economy, whether or not it's open or closed. And you're like, well, COVID death.
Yeah, I know. And I've heard arguments because I was posting about it. I did shows about it where they say, well, that's just how pathologies work and how you classify things. Like, even if it is, it doesn't mean that we should continue to do it that way, because I've never heard of classifying diseases that has economic impact for a whole nation.
Exactly.
And I think it would be very informative to know what percentage of people are dying that have other existing conditions, coexisting conditions, pre-existing conditions,
exactly,
versus someone who's just completely healthy. That would help influence policy a lot more, but I don't think they want us to know about it.
Exactly. But this is the point. Yeah, exactly. The data is only as helpful as it is in context. So like the number of deaths, the number of cases means literally nothing. I've been saying this from the moment they started tracking it. I was like, this means nothing because let's say they tested the entire population and we have 100,000 cases. Well, I feel pretty good now. So, but if we've tested 100,000 people and 100,000 people have it, that's totally different. But you don't get that number. It's not readily available. Now it's available. You got to go hunting for it. You never hear it though. And so right. the information that they give you, it's carefully selected for maximum fear. And so the death toll numbers, let's just say that's the way they do it. Fine. But don't you think it would be helpful for when we're deciding whether or not the economy should be open to know that, 90% of the people who have died, it's a big number. We're not saying they're not made in the image of God. It's very sad. But 90% of them were, extreme diabetics or very old and they were going to die soon anyway. Like, I'm not saying their lives are worthless. I'm just saying that would change, how we respond. You know what I mean? It makes a difference.
Yeah. Right. If we could just say confidently, 90% of people that have died from this had asthma. Right. Well, then we would say, okay, if you don't have asthma, go back to work. You can go out to restaurants. You can go visit. Like, it would be actually better for society, even with those people with asthma, because you would have a functioning society to come back to when it's over.
I have chronic asthma. I'm in a risk category. And I would very much like to know the percentage of people that are getting seriously hospitalized that have asthma, because then I'd be like, okay, great. So lots of you don't have asthma, so go nuts. Go do what you got to do. I'm going to stay home. And that's fine. And I'd like to know that. But the thing is, it's just this kind of like mysterious, like, well, it could affect anybody at any moment. And then they always, of course, upplay the younger people who die. They want to make sure you know about each and every single one of those. And it's like, well, he didn't have any known pre-existing conditions. But what the heck does that supposed to mean, known pre-existing conditions? like, so did he have one or not? Was he obese or not? Like, just tell me. You know what I mean? Because whenever they say that, it's like, I get that that's technically accurate. He probably didn't know. But, do the autopsy. Figure it out. Did he have, let me know what was going on there, because it makes a difference. on what we do with the entire economy. It's not just like my pocket. It's not just my portfolio. It's the world economy. Let's just be honest. It's everybody.
Right. Yeah. And the longer we delay, the exponentially worse it gets. It's not like one day is equivalent to like 1 times 2 days. The first day closed is not as bad as the second day closed. Exactly. The second day closed isn't as bad as the third day closed. So it's really important. And I know they can give us this detail because they started to do it. They started to play it with the African American community, where they started saying that they are one of the most impacted demographics because of diabetes, being overweight, and the sickle cell anemia as well, which I think is just genetics.
Right.
So I know they could give details, but why aren't you is the question.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's I don't want to say it's criminal, but it's just very hard for me to understand any legitimate reason why we've done what we've done at this point, because I just and maybe there is a good reason, but I just don't have the information. So there's just so much information I'm not allowed to have. That's just a real problem. Furthermore, I don't want to make this about like class warfare or anything, but the thing is like the people that are at risk with the economy, we've talked about this. You're not eliminating death by doing this. You're just transferring who dies. You're just transferring whose lives you ruin. It's not about eliminating that. It's every day that I saw this. I don't want to make this like an emotional appeal, but we got to think about this. I saw a statistic that said that suicide hotlines have been the calls to suicide hotlines have increased by like 900%, right? And that's a serious thing. Just what do you think is going to happen when some of these people start to realize that the job they lost ain't never coming back? Never. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a real problem. And this is the thing. Like, we got pinheads like Russell Moore saying, well, it's about life. It's more important than the economy. And this man is thinking like a child. He's thinking about a millimeter in front of his face. He can't see 2 feet in front of his face the tragedy that's going to happen by shutting down this economy for any amount of time. I mean, can you just imagine how insane to shut down the economy for 1 day is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
My head hurts.
I mean, I'm just really glad Russell Moore isn't in a position of influencing people or, trying to persuade the government of Christian ideals. Definitely not considering ethical things at all.
Oh, man.
I mean, have you even seen an article discussing the Christians being fined, Christians being arrested from the ERLC? At all?
No, Matt. He's doing. Listen, what's important in this time is that we all learn about his gigantic library.
I know he's playing Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
He's playing Belle. That's good. Did you come up with that?
Yeah, just now.
Belle from Beauty and the. Nah, that's a good one. Yeah. We just need to hear about his stupid library. That's what we really need right now. Mm-hmm. I'm sure his paycheck is coming in steady.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and the reason I bring this stuff up is because it's not just about winning
your portfolio.
The argument.
About your portfolio.
It's my portfolio, yeah. Which my portfolio is doing really good because I got back in right before phase 3 stimulus. But it's not just that we're going to have to figure out how to win these intellectual arguments, but these battles are going to return. And I think it's important for us not only to realize that we're in a war, spiritually definitely, but even politically we're in a war and things like that, is that these arguments are going to come back. And they've already seen how far they can push us. And they're going to keep trying to push us. If it's not with this thing, it's going to be with the next. And we better start getting our minds right as Christians and our worldview correct, so that we can be in a position where there is a win situation for us and not be caught with our pants down like we have been.
This is where the children come in and say, what are you saying, man? Is this a conspiracy theory? And the thing is, like, it doesn't need to be a conspiracy theory. It can be a real virus. It can be a real thing that was unpredictable. It could be complete. It could be just a complete accident from the wet markets. It's totally accidental right next to the bio war laboratory in Wuhan. It's totally accidental. Absolutely. But the elites who want to see what happens if they do XYZ, they've used it to their advantage, and now they know exactly what they're up against, and they ain't up against much. They know that now. They know that now. This is a tactic. This is a war tactic. You launch an attack that you're not expecting it to win, but you want to see what the reaction is, and then you see the reaction. You see the capabilities of your opponent, and then you're like, oh, that's what you can do. Great. And then you really launch the attack, because next time there's another epidemic coming. Next time it's going to be even scarier. Guaranteed.
Yeah, well, they're going to get better at marketing it and figuring out how to brand this thing to make it scarier. I have this book. I don't know if you can see it. I don't even know if we're going to have this audio for it, but this is George Washington's memoir, and they write about George Washington. And man, some of the things that he did in battle were absolutely amazing. But one of the things was when he was in New York and he had to cross the river, and I don't remember the exact geographic names of the things, but they were trapped, and Cornwallis or George Wallace or whatever his name was had him surrounded. And one night, the fog rolled in so thick that allowed him to escape. It's a pretty famous story. It's not like you've probably heard it before. But it's not a conspiracy theory to say that George Washington used this unpredictable event, fog rolling in, to use it to his advantage to ultimately win the war.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying is that maybe the coronavirus was started by China. Maybe not. We're not going to get into that. I've already had an episode. But our enemies and we ourselves on our side should be looking to use these things to our advantage. We should look to this to preach the gospel in our case. But what we're seeing is we're just being docile, being compartmentalized into our homes, being happy with listening to streamed worship music and good motivational talks, because it's definitely not church. And we're letting the government run plays on us by people that are bold while the rest of us sit home.
Yeah. And again, I want to stress, I'm not exempting myself from this, because I'm not rioting in the streets either. I'm speaking about it, and I'm not allowing myself to be shouted down by all the Romans 13, just do what you say, please, people. But I'm not doing much else. I'm not doing much else. And the reality is that this is a serious situation. This is a very serious situation, and it's just very sad to see the just willingness to go along with it and not even say anything. One of the things I appreciated about Doug Wilson's video, which I did not agree with, or the cross politic with Doug Wilson, which I did not agree with what Doug had to say the entire time. But what I liked about it was that he's always very reasonable. I know people think he's unreasonable, but he's always very reasonable. And he said in this, it's like the reformers had this strategy for dealing with persecution. I'm not saying we're being persecuted, but I'm just saying they had a strategy, and it involved complying, but preaching against it. You know what I mean? And there's 5% of people that are even willing to do that. That little amount. I'm not doing much. All I'm saying is this is wrong. And so few people are even doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's happened to us? Matt, listen to me. Did you hear about the drive-in church? And how that's getting shut down now? Okay, so the initial argument was, well, you got to love your neighbor. You don't want to be a vector for illness. And, the droplets, they travel in the air, they go everywhere, just like in that movie, Outbreak. And it's like, okay, I can at least understand that argument. I don't agree with it, but I can understand the argument, right? Mm-hmm. I can't put myself in the stupid place where I can even understand not having drive-in church, not allowing that. Can you? I mean, what's even the argument?
There is no argument for it, and that's the point, right? It's the advancement of the government overstepping their place, and they're doing it on purpose. They knew they were going to get crap for this, but they decided to do it anyways.
Right.
And like you said, on our side, we have 5% of us willing to go do something that's going to get crap for it.
Just speaking, I mean, the minimal amount that we could possibly do. And it's just a shame. I mean, it's just a real shame. It's just a real shame to see it. The whole drive-in church thing, that's just so. It's such a good idea if you want to have church, but you don't want to really stick your nose up at the government. Fine, you're sitting in your car. Your windows are up. There's no chance of droplets flying anywhere. It's completely safe, and you can't do that. Why? Because Daddy said so. You can't. Daddy doesn't
Right.
like it. Daddy doesn't like when, and to some degree I can understand this because, like, let's say I tell my kid, don't go into that room, and he goes over to the edge of the door, and he puts his foot right there, and he's like testing me. You know what I mean? I get that's disrespectful as well, and I don't want my son to like get to the edge of obedience, right? And disobey, and he's not disobeying, but he kind of is. He's just testing me. But that's my son. It's different between my son and my relationship with the governor or the police officer. It's a different relationship, and they're treating me as if I'm their child, and that's a problem. That's a real problem. That ain't how this works.
Yeah, exactly. They're going into it's not their sphere. They're going into someone else's space, and I think that's why I want to talk about it. And again, like, I think we should just say, like, we're not saying that if you stop going to church as a pastor or you close down your church that you're sinning or you're wrong. Like, it's a hard decision. And like, we have our opinions about it, but we're not going to say like, oh, you were sinning and you need to repent and you shouldn't be doing this. But what we're saying is you need to be thinking through this and have a reason besides daddy told me so. Yeah. Besides the government told me so. And you damn sure, and I use that word seriously, better have a reason to open up. That's not daddy told me it was okay. Yeah, you better.
You're right on, right on. I absolutely think you're right on there, and So it doesn't mean you're a conspiracy theorist. I saw some people. I didn't watch the James White thing, so I don't know what he said, but saying how, well, what's he saying? There's a big conspiracy to get the power and stuff like that, and I have a suspicion. I don't know what he said, so maybe I'm wrong, but I have a suspicion that he did not say anything like that. But I have a suspicion what he said was, they are using this for that. No question. From minute one, they're like, oh, great, this is an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Of course. I mean, I already saw with this last phase 3 package, apparently it's mandatory now for some businesses to pay sick leave. Like, you're telling a business what to do with your private property with an employee. You're getting involved in a contract you never had any business to be in the first place. So, I mean, you don't have to guess. It's not a conspiracy theory. You just go look at the laws that have been implemented since this crisis has happened. You go look at the arrest warrants for churches assembling in their cars, for people being arrested for preaching against abortion when the abortion clinic is allowed to stay open, but you get thrown in jail because you're out there in public. Or the person that was paddleboarding out in the middle of the ocean by themselves that got arrested. And I think it was Malibu or Santa Monica or something like that. Like, you don't have to be conspiracy theory about that. But speaking of conspiracy theory, we haven't had a segment in a while. I'm very curious about how do we know that this wasn't man-made, but this is brand new at the same time? I've been trying to think through a scenario. I can't figure out one. It just magically evolved and appeared? Is that what we're saying?
Listen, Matt, what you don't understand is that China has our best interests in mind. And they have told us exactly where it came from, a meat market in Wuhan, and it was just someone was eating a foreign object, and then it started spreading. I mean, that's just that. Well, actually, it didn't start spreading. The World Health Organization told us it did not start spreading.
Yeah, it can't spread human to human. We're good.
Still doesn't.
Dude, Andy, I'm no joke. My push notifications on the news before we came on to record was that there's bipartisanship calling for China to close down all wet markets.
There you go. Close them down.
Close them down. Before we even know what happened. Now, who's the conspiracy theorist? But I do love, have you noticed that people are starting to call for China to pay for this in some form or another?
I've noticed
starting to hear official.
I've noticed a lot of people doing that. And I don't really know how to feel about that. But I do know that China is not they're not a bunch of good people, put it that way. They're the country.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to start putting my other hat on and start cautioning people not to go too far so we don't do another World War II situation where we impoverish and bankrupt China so much that we don't give them any other option but to start going to war with people. So I might have to take my aggressive hat on and put my pacifist hat on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Right. For sure. Okay, so what do we do? Like, how do we take the situation and see how we're responding and apply it or prepare ourselves or train ourselves so that we don't get into this situation again. And I think there's a few things, and I've noticed this from my interactions on Twitter as well, is one, we need to have a real understanding that we are at war, not with individuals, but with principalities and powers, and that there's a spiritual battle. So even if it's a nation plotting something against another nation, and there's like dark, big money, the Illuminati, or whatever it is, who cares? We ultimately know, because the Bible says it, we're at war with Satan, with evil, with the darkness, and we need to just have that mindset, because we're seeing the advancement happening, and we're just not prepared.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I was talking to my brother, who is a pastor in the Presbyterian church, and he said that one of the things that's become patently obvious to him is the sorry state that so many of us are in right now. We're just not prepared for this. We can't come up with a theology of Romans 13 and possible church persecution and the war that we find ourselves in. We can't just come up with that on the fly in the middle of the crisis. It's not possible. Yeah. We have to come up with that ahead of time. And so there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do in that regard. And I think that one of the things that's sadly been revealed here, and I'm not going to name any names here because I don't want to cause any problems, but there's a lot of new data points that we didn't have before. And what I mean by that is there are people that I can be totally friendly with and we can be on the same team. But I know that in the crisis, I can't count on them. I just can't anymore. And that's a sad thing, but it's good information to have. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, like, we've got a lot more data points than we used to have regarding pressure situations. And it's a sad thing, but it's true, and we need to work on moving the needle there. We need to work on finding more backbone than we've ever had before, and I'm including myself in that category. I'm not exempting myself from that, because this minimal amount of pressure has blown us all over. Yeah, we just don't have the backbone that we thought we did. So many of us, and again, I'm including myself here, so many of us have been LARPing all along, role-playing. It's kind of cool to pretend like you're in a survival situation and stuff like that when nothing's going on. But then when something goes on, it's no longer cool, and you start changing how you act and changing what you believe and changing your opinions. And it's just like, it's a sad state of affairs, but we need to prepare for the next time, because there's going to be a next time and it's going to be worse.
Yep, absolutely. And the enemy is going to advance farther. It's like there are people in war. What's that one saying? It's like the battle plan goes out the window as soon as the first bullet's fired. Sure. And it's like, we've seen the bullet fired. Now we have traitors. I mean, we've had traitors all along that have gone to the other side, mimicking the other side, the propagandists from the other side.
Totally. Yep. They've totally bought the propaganda. They're totally selling what China's putting out. You know what I mean? We've got some like that, definitely.
Definitely. But a large portion of us are not even picking up our weapon in the trench. We have our head between our knees and we're panicking because we don't know we don't have a foundation. We don't have a framework. We don't know how to use our weapon.
Well, and furthermore, we're being told by our generals the battle's not here yet. That's the big thing. It's not that we have so yes, we do have traitors. We do have people that are putting out statements that are indistinguishable from Chinese propaganda. Indistinguishable. Mm-hmm. And so those are people that you pretty much expected it from. Maybe there's a few that are like, wow, that's surprising. But you know, for the most part, they weren't on our team anyway. You know what I mean? But then there's so many people that are like well, the battle will come one day. And in the midst of the battle, they're like, it's not here yet. Don't fight. And so they've got lots of people in their armies, so to speak, in their flocks, in their congregations that are looking to them. And they're like, well, I guess the battle's not here yet. And so that's kind of where most of us are at, I would say.
Yeah. And then you have the people that are looking at people trying to fight, trying to figure it out. Maybe they don't have it all figured out either. I'm not saying the people that are speaking out and going out are completely right or do everything perfectly, but then they're getting blamed for being the ones, you know, helping the enemy. They're the problem.
Right.
They're the Christians that are the problem. And we have this whole Nero burning down Rome, Christians getting blamed for burning down Rome situation. as well.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's very true. And I'm not putting, again, it's very hard to talk about this stuff without sounding like you're putting yourself in the hero's chair. I'm not in the hero's chair. I'm just a YouTuber. All I do is say stupid things online, right? That's all I do. And take care of my family. That's it. But like, so I'm not making these calls here. That like the stakes are very low for me. You know what I mean? Because I don't have a congregation of my own. I don't, like that kind of stuff. But the reality is, guys, that there are pastors out there that are facing the firing squad, so to speak, and getting shot in the back by the people that were in the foxhole with them a few minutes ago. And I just can't fathom that mindset. I just can't. And it's just really, I made a video about it, said I was shook about it, and I'm shook. I don't really know what to make of that. I don't really know how to move forward, but I know we have to move the needle. We have to. We've got to find our spines here, because we're sitting here terrified. And I do mean terrified. I know you would not admit, many of you guys would not admit that you're scared, but you're scared. You're scared to have drive-in church, to drive into the parking lot, and the pastor speaks from his car on an FM radio, and so everyone's there, but there's no one's in vicinity of each other. They're all in their cars with the windows closed. Everything's safe. You're scared to do it on Sunday. It's Easter. You're scared, and so you won't do it because you're scared, because somebody said, "Well, the battle's not here yet." Oh, you don't want to be a scofflaw, do you? You don't want to be a rebel, do you? And it's just like, what's happened to us? What's happened to us?
I know. I was thinking while you were talking about that, when Satan usually tempts us with sin, it's not full-blown adultery to start out with. Right. It's usually conversations. It's where you let your mind go, pornography, movies that are probably pornography, but Netflix. Not explicitly pornography, Netflix, Game of Thrones, those kinds of things. And thinking about like America, like where we don't really have persecution, we really don't have opposition to meeting together. Like it would be kind of strange for it just to all of a sudden happen to be like China, where we all start getting thrown into jail, like groups of congregations. But it seems like that kind of slow stepping into it is the same pattern of slow stepping into sin, where it's, look, you're just not respecting the health codes.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Matt, this is the argument that I'm getting. And I'm sorry if you're making this argument. I don't know you. If you're listening to this, I'm not saying you're a child, but this is childish. This is so childish. What I get is this. I get, Matt or AD, what you don't understand is that we're supposed to submit to whatever the government says so long as they don't tell us to sin. And that's the way I would describe it to my 5-year-old. That's a childish way to view it. I'm serious. I'm serious because I can't trust the child to understand the nuances of the exceptions, right? So I'll say it simply to him. I don't, when I teach my son I before E, I want to teach him that before I get to the except after C, because that's more complicated, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The reality is, guys, that even if I take that simplistic understanding, the pastors that are going out there and saying, we're going to still do church, we're going to figure out a way to do it safe, but we're going to do it, they're already at the point where they think the government is telling them to sin, because I seem to remember not that long ago when a lot of you same people who are telling me this Romans 13 stuff used to write blog posts about how evil it was that parents would take their kids to travel league soccer on Sunday because we're commanded by the Lord to gather on Sunday. Is it a command or not? And if it's not if it's a command and the government says don't do it, then they are literally commanding you to sin. If it's not a command, then why are we doing it? Why meet on Sunday at all if it's not a command? Because I seem to remember a lot of y'all are all about the regulative principle. So if God commands it, you do it. If he doesn't command it, you don't do it. So if that's our principle and he didn't command us to meet on Sunday, then why do it? Why give me a hard time if I want to come half the time? What's the big deal? He never commanded it anyway. But see, a lot of you guys, you know what's right here. You know what's right here. But for some reason, you're terrified of being, I don't know, like out of the club because you're a scofflaw. Look, if the pagans think you're a scofflaw, why do you care? Why do you care if the pagans think you're a scofflaw because you want to worship Christ and they told you not to and you're going to do it anyway? Wait, we got to maintain our witness. Can you imagine if we had church and then one of our congregation died of the coronavirus? What would that do to our witness? Your witness to who? Who are you trying to impress? The pagans? I don't want these and of course when they say it like that, the example they're using is just these arrogant pastors. They're like, who cares? We don't need to do anything. No mask, no hand sanitizer. The Lord, you're gonna tempt the Lord. Like, that's how they make it seem. These pastors aren't doing that. They're not doing that. They're taking precautions. They're taking all the proper precautions. And it's like we're getting shot in the back by the guys that were in the foxhole with us 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And it's just like, we were in a pretend foxhole the entire time. That's the point. We were in a pretend foxhole the entire time. We were role-playing. Nothing against role-playing. I like role-playing games. But we were role-playing the entire time. And we just realized, all of us are starting to realize that now.
Right. We were in like ankle-deep foxholes, retreated instantly, thought we had real weapons, and it turns out we had the toy gun with the cork on the end.
Totally.
Because it's ineffective. And what I mean by the toy gun is our framework for processing these decisions has been inept. It hasn't been useful. It hasn't been effective. Because I haven't even heard a theological argument for it. I just hear, hey, we're just, going to do what the government says because we care about people's lives. And it's the responsibility. They're not telling us to sin.
It's childish.
It's so basic.
It's like it's like when you're a kid and you're like you're playing army and you feel like you're in like this epic terrain. Then you go back to it when you're an adult and it's like this like rolling hill with like it's like a meadow. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like anything like you remember. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing. We're playing on the meadow right now, and now we're in the middle of a real crisis, and we're just kind of like, well, we're not there yet. And God bless Doug Wilson, because he's not unreasonable, and he's saying it's not ridiculous yet, but I think it's getting there. I disagree with him. I think it's already ridiculous, but at least he's willing to say, look, like, it's not like Romans 13 with no exceptions, like a lot of people are frankly sounding like.
Right.
So he's reasonable. I disagree with his analysis of the situation. To me, they're shutting down drive-in church. That's completely preposterous. You know what I mean? Right. It's absolutely preposterous. But he says it's not there yet. Okay, well, we can at least disagree there. But anyway, I got lost.
Yeah. And I think like one of the things I've been struggling with, quite honestly, especially with my wife being pregnant, we're about to have our baby being born, is when is it appropriate to risk our lives for obedience to Christ? And that's kind of a weird way to say it. But like, if we believe that meeting together is the command of the Lord, that we should not forsake the fellowship of believers, that we should be preaching the gospel, that we should be taking these times to minister. Like, where is the balance where we say, hey, no, it's life-threatening, it's my family's life-threatening, but like, or should we stay at home? Or do we say, you know what, we're not supposed to love our lives at all, we're not supposed to love this world, we just need to be as obedient and faithful to Christ as possible. This is where I would love some, ERLC love, or some leaders to talk about this stuff. But I find that we think that we will be able to lay down our lives in persecution when it's like, hey, deny Christ, boom, if you don't. But I see that we just do not even have the theological framework or the constructs to even deal with an illness, which is far less.
Right.
So let's try to make this positive. I don't want to just be bagging on people. We don't have that much time left. I don't even know what time it is. Oh yeah, 9:20. We got like 15 more minutes left. Like, one of the things that we need to start doing is discipling each other and start really honing in on not just this abstract elementary milk principles of, yeah, you never deny Christ, you never sin, that's the time you disobey. But like, what do we do in these situations going forward? Now we have a real case study. Right. What should we have done? How do we prepare for it? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What did we see the enemy advance in? Where did we fail? Where can we like reinforce people? We need to start having those conversations.
We do. You know what? And I think you're onto something here, because when we fail in a battle, like we kind of are right now. let's just face it. You don't get to like obviously there's if you're deserting your post, in a real war, you got problems there. You're going to go to the brig. But just because somebody fails at an objective doesn't mean that they're off your team, right? And so, maybe I need to check my own heart for that, because like I'm honestly, like I said a few minutes ago, like I'm just thinking like, man, like I can't count on these guys. But the reality is, like, I don't get to choose my family here. So I have to count on these guys. I have to figure out how to count on these guys. And so I think that when this is all said and done, we need to have a post-mortem on this one.
We really do.
And to figure out, okay, how did this happen? You know what I mean? What happened? First of all, what happened? It's like, well, how does this happen? And can we come up with some kind of parameters so that when it happens, we know. Like when it's time to fight, like because the abstract isn't doing us any good. Well, like the battle's not here yet. We'll fight when it gets here. Like we need to know when it's here. You know what I mean? We need to be able to figure out what are the diagnostics that we can run to know that, okay, it's go time now. It's go time. Yep. Because right now we're all trying to figure it out. I thought we were all on the same page. We clearly are not. No. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I have to do with the people that I've, kind of said, well, maybe like, man, I wouldn't want to jump in a foxhole with this guy again. You know what I mean? But like, maybe instead of having that attitude, I should try to get on the same page with people. Because clearly,
maybe I think it depends on who it is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. And it definitely has to start in the church. For us Christian conservatives, like we have no business even talking about government yet. We need to figure out how to respond in our sphere of church leadership. And these conversations, I hope, will start to happen in leadership. I hope it doesn't fall to us. I mean, if it falls to us, it falls to us. But it really should be happening in the higher levels, in the SBC, in the denominational leadership, in the ERLC, the Gospel Coalition. These are the discussions that I have expectations for our leaders to have. Because you're right, AD, we just pontificate. We are just behind a microphone. We don't have flocks. We don't have. Yeah, we're pundits. That's all we are.
Just stupid pundits.
Stupid pundits. But if we're the only ones going to be like driving these conversations, then there's actual real value in this. So I don't want to like just discount us all right away. But we need to have these we need to see our leadership have these conversations. We need to see our pastors having these conversations, our elders. And then we need to be having these conversations with our family and our friends as well. So we all have an obligation and responsibility to talk about this and have these discussions.
Oh yeah, I think you're right, and I like to discount myself just being an idiot. But listen, if I can push someone to at least have the conversation privately with their own church, then that's fine by me. You know what I mean? I know that you get people talking, reaching out to you, and I get people reaching out to me that say, hey, you've caused me to really think about this. I'm talking to my elders about this or that. I'm talking to my friends about this and that. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we're playing the part of the intellectual, which is really scary. But I mean, that's what the role of an intellectual should be. That's what our philosophers in Christianity should be doing. But they're off writing books that no one understands, having debates with people that, that really are just entertaining and a good hour on YouTube. But like, this is what we need intellectuals to be talking about. Right. So that's our place. So we need to be shoring our defenses. We need to be evaluating, and we need to do a post-mortem. We need to have a mindset that we are continually at war, that these battles are happening, that the enemy is making advancements. And then again, to go back to the spheres of responsibility or the spheres of authority, we really need to grasp this, because this is going to help us understand where the fronts of the battle are happening.
That's right.
And how to combat them. There's going to be different ways to fight. You fight differently on the ocean than you do on land. You fight differently on land than you do on ocean. And these spheres of authority and where the attack is happening is going to look differently in how we respond. And one of the conversations I had on Twitter really is eye-opening to me, that we have no concept of this whatsoever. We don't understand this well. We may know the terms, but we don't really have it nailed down in our lives. Because I found people saying that the church was responsible for family health, and that if the church was open and someone got sick and died, it was the church's responsibility, not the individual who went to church and decided to. And they were putting it on the church to tell the family what was best for their own health. And it's just simply because it's not because they're a bad person. It's not because they're wrong on the wrong team. It's because they don't have an understanding of whose responsibility is who. And so you make the wrong decision. You shoot the wrong person.
Right. Yeah, Matt, that's interesting. And I think I think I think the first thing you said is probably the most important thing that you said, is that we need to have conversations that, first of all, recognize the fact that we're in a war, that we're in a battle. Because if you don't even know you're in a fight, then you're definitely going to lose. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this fight has many fronts. And we need to recognize that. I mean, I was talking to my brother today, and he was saying, my brother's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, no question. But but he was saying that, that could you imagine in the time of the Revolutionary War, the king saying, well, this is essential, this is not essential, you can do this, you can't do that. Like, you couldn't even imagine. They threw tea in the harbor for like a couple percentage points of tax. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, okay, so what's happened? So what's happened, right? And you think, well, we got fat and we got happy and we are entertaining ourselves to death. I mean, and this has all been by design. This is a war against us. We need to understand that this endless entertainment, the porn, the drinking, the what's it called? The opiates that are just so readily available. This is all just a war. If you wanted to destroy a nation, fill it with porn, fill it with opiates, and give it 10 years, and you'll be fine. You could take that place over quick, and no one will even care. Like, I'll just stay inside.
There's a reason those places are still open. Right.
And now they're telling us to stay inside, and we're just like, okay. Yeah. I guess. I'll just get Netflix. Buy Netflix for a couple months, and maybe I'll catch up on Stranger Things. And it's like we get like a free vacation. I'll just stay at home. It's fine.
Yeah. So pre this crisis, we all thought we were like the U.S. military in World War II, but it turns out we were the Jewish people in Germany who were just slowly letting our rights be taken away. Oh, okay, so they're just not going to let us go into certain places. Oh, they're not going to let us have businesses. Oh, they're going to take our money from our bank accounts. And then it's, they're rounding us up and they're hauling us away. And there's no fight to it. They never really fought back, from what I understand. And that turns out what we're more like than any kind of military or an army. And like we said, we're in a war. We need to be trained. We need to be putting off that stuff, as Paul talks about, laying aside the weights, these things that are burdening us, from fighting effectively, so that we no longer go away in the trains without saying a word.
Well, Matt, you're about to get probably 10 comments. Matt, we live in the United States, not Nazi Germany. I just want to go on record to say I did not approve of that example beforehand. Please don't at me on Twitter. I didn't say
Matt, at how to build a tent. I need some interaction.
Exactly.
Hey, this show probably won't even get aired. Who knows if it's even recording right now?
Who knows? All right, man. Well, this was fun either way.
Yeah, this was fun either way. But I just want to leave you guys with this. Like, be having these conversations, be thinking about it yourself, talking about it with your family, encouraging your elders, praying for them, praying for the leadership throughout our church world, Big Eva and all that stuff, because we need to start fighting like we're in a war, and we need to be taking this seriously, because lives are at stake, eternal lives, not just physical lives.
That's what I'm talking about. Well,
thanks for forgiving us for missing last week, putting up with us this week. We will hopefully talk to you next time. God bless.
Take care, man. Bye.